Hey guys, so I wanted to talk to you today about perhaps the most important paradigm shift in history, and it was that of the 17th century. And what started to happen was that reality was reduced to this kind of machine, this mechanical machine that's stripped of purpose and meaning. And that was really the intellectual groundwork for disenchantment. You can think of figures like Descartes or Newton. But culturally speaking, obviously, disenchantment took a long time culturally, but intellectually and philosophically, the groundwork was laid down in the 17th century. But culturally, you start to see the world becoming more and more disenchanted in the 19th century. Think about Nietzsche, God is Dead. Think about Marx, who looks at the history of all things as this kind of class struggle, this historical materialism, and that consciousness doesn't shape the world, but the material conditions of reality shape consciousness. And you can also think of someone like Darwin with his gradual change over time, natural selection. So we start to see humanity and spirit and that kind of purposive, rich meaning slowly over time being stripped out of reality. And again, it starts in the 17th century intellectually and philosophically, but it takes a long, long time culturally to reach its full, um, understanding or its full sense that there's a kind of disenchantment going on, or a nihilism, as Heidegger would define it, as this forgetfulness of the mystery of being. But this is important to know because we have to remember really everything we say about the world, whenever we step outside of methodology and we start talking about what exists or what ultimately, what the world is ultimately in its essence, we are no longer doing science. We are no longer doing economics. We are no longer doing X, Y, and Z. We're doing philosophy. Okay, so these are philosophical assumptions about the world, but this is important to know because the world really could be imbued with purposive meaning, and the ground of all reality could be spirit and intellect informing material reality. To say otherwise, to say things only look like they're designed, to say things are really just kind of blind particles in motion, blind, everything is reduced to matter and energy, that's it. To say that is, again, that's a philosophical assumption about reality too. But one of them is correct. Either reality is ultimately purposive and imbued with meaning and direction and aim, intentionality coming from a more primordial intentionality, or reality is just totally non-purposive and it is just reduced to matter and energy in motion, totally mindless matter and energy. But I wanted to make this video. I don't want to make this too long-winded, but I think that a lot of people don't realize this shift and how significant it was. I mean, you talk to the average person on the street, they'll say, well, I don't know, like maybe believe in a higher being, but I think everything's just kind of happening, man. It's not, and that's the result of the intellectual groundwork of the 17th century, and then it's kind of cultural realization in the 19th century, but it took a long time to get there. But again, reality could be imbued with purpose and meaning and divine intellect, or it may not be. But the point is that we shouldn't kind of abandon the mystery of reality. We have to first understand that when we say reality is just purposeless, or when we say it is purposeful, we're doing philosophy, and ultimately the sciences cannot show us that. But it's important to be able to see this paradigm shift and to know that at the end of the day, we're really, again, torn between two ontological pictures of reality. Either the world is purposive and meaningful, or it's non-purposive and totally not meaningful. I'm trying to think if I wanted to say one more thing. It's kind of slipping out of my mind. anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video right here, and do more research into this. Look at the 17th century and look at how we responded to the 17th century culturally. And I think you'll gain a whole lot of insight.